Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
In the famous words of my guy Adam Trigger, let's get this show on the road before anything else goes wrong. I'm Dan Alexander, and I'm back with my boys again. I missed them. Let's bring them in, the experts, Adam Trigger and Tokyo Brandon with us. And I don't know if it was just my brief departure or what. You guys have been rolling across sports, specifically in Asian baseball, since the last time we talked. It's $9 Monday. Great time to get in. And we'll start with you, Adam, fresh off a 3-0 sweep in the KBO this weekend. I know you got to be feeling good. What do you have loaded today, Adam, for $9 Monday? And how are you feeling after that big weekend, my guy?
Yeah, KBO was great this weekend. I took a bad beat yesterday in MLB with the Royals. They blew a 6-0 lead in the 8th inning, lost 7-6, but no complaints for KBO. 3-0, hit all of my plays Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The series breakdown we, kind of talked about. I think we talked about Kaiwum earlier in the week. That stuff kind of seemed to play out. So it was a really good weekend in KBO. Happy with how the season's gone so far. And for $9, I have an MLB best bet that goes tonight and a KBO best bet that goes in the morning. Both of them up for $9. So 6-3 in my last 9 baseball plays. Hopefully we keep it rolling into the new week.
Also worth noting to head on over to wt.buzz/deals. Every day there might be a new deal that you see on there. There's a special package up for Adam Trigger right this moment at wt.buzz/deals. It's a 30-day KBO and MLB all-access special for Trig, only $189. You can check that out right now. Tokyo Brandon, man, it's not just the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial that's heating up, my guy. You have been rolling as well in the last calendar year. How about a measly plus 285% in profit? Man, that is an impressive, not just run. I mean, that's a year's worth of results. You're rolling, Brandon, and, recently in the KBO, NPB as well, plays galore. What do you have up for $9 Monday? And it's your chance to, strut like a peacock a little bit here at the top of the show.
Strutting, yeah. Well, I went 3-1 over the weekend in the KBO. She almost came out strutting down to New Orleans. I know that's not the words, but I'm not a Grateful Dead fan. But anyway, I went 3-1 on the KBO over the weekend, so not quite a sweep, but still doing pretty good. Over the year, I'm winning 62% of my KBO plays, which is good. 59% of my Japanese baseball, which is also pretty good. So yeah, it's going pretty much like it went last year. So I'm pretty happy with those results. Today I have a 4% play in Japanese baseball for $9. And today on this show, I'm going to give out my lesser 2 plays for free. So stay tuned.
Always stay tuned. Actionable info to get you ready to bet the KBO early on in the week, the NPB as well, and free best bets each and every show here on Asian Baseball Today. If it's your first time joining us, we always start at the top of the show with just a little standings update in the KBO so we can all be on the same page. My SSG Landers, they had a big series win against LG this past weekend, still sitting above those at the top of the rankings. LG, though, not far behind. You got Kiwoom, Samsung, Kia, Lotte, Doosan, all kind of in that same twilight, rolling around the middle, changing standings. And then in last place no more, or at least I guess not alone in last place anymore. It's the NC Dinos and the Hamwa Eagles bringing up the bottom of the rankings there. And Adam, I want to go to you first because I always look forward to Monday when you kind of look at maybe some updates to rosters or some injuries that could either affect with players coming back, players leaving. Always look forward to our weekly update here on Mondays with some of these rosters. What have you been tracking, Trig?
Yeah, so like I said last week, I'm going to kind of use Monday as the, spot to go in and see if we've got any players coming back this week, who got hurt, because as we've talked about all year, the injuries really are crucial in this league. There's just not a ton of depth in the KBO. So if you lose a guy, like, for example, Samsung Lions, both, well, I guess you would call them questionable, or we just don't know the status really for their upcoming game with Kia, but Jose Perella and Jawu Ku both could potentially be out, for tomorrow's game. Samsung's a team we've kind of talked about at length, where their 1 through 5 is really strong, and their bottom half of their order not quite as good. So, if they end up without Perella or Jawu Ku in lineup for tomorrow, I would say you instantly have to look at a Samsung fade, because that's just way too much in their lineup for them to sort of for them to sort of move forward with. Another guy we might see back this week, Ryan Carpenter for Hanwha. They've kind of talked about him coming back for a couple weeks now. It looked like he made a rehab start last week, and he wanted to get sort of one more bullpen session in, which is why we did not see him. So we should see him make a start at some point for Hanwha this week. Thought it might be
Having some technical difficulties with our guy, Adam Trigger, so we'll get his thoughts on his weekly update when we have a chance. Right now, we'll just swing on over to Tokyo Brandon. He wanted to take a look at the Doosan Bears. It's been a rough go for Doosan as of late. Only 3 wins, Tokyo Brandon, in their last 10 games. So any thoughts that you've kind of been seeing why it is that Doosan just can't seem to get out of their own way, Tokyo Brandon?
Doosan is an absolute roller coaster ride. They're a heart attack team to bet. A case in point, a couple weeks ago against KT, back-to-back heart attacks against them, come from behind wins. What I want to talk about is last Sunday is they were playing Lotte, and they finally get the lead 4-2. This was the one game that I lost on my 3-in-1 weekend, but I had Doosan, and they're up 4-2 and going into the 9th inning, and so they put in a relief pitcher with a 5+ ERA. What does he do? He gives a hit and a walk. So there's first and second base with no outs. They put in their best closer with a 1.42 ERA, and first pitch, boom, home run. They're losing 5-2. Then they go into the bottom of the 9th inning. They still get a chance to redeem themselves, and they get man on first and third with 1 out, and they barf it away. So yeah, Doosan is just, they're not a clutch team, and if you like late inning antics, Doosan is your team, because they're going to give you a heart attack. I'm not going to bet Doosan full game for anything with them or against them. I'm only going to bet Doosan first 5, because the heart attacks, they're just not worth the pain. So they're just a painful team to bet on. First 9, 9th inning. If you like drama, if you like antics, if you like roller coaster rides, watch a Doosan game, because they're going to give it to you. I'm not betting that team in the full game for the rest of the season. First 5 is the only way I'm going to take Doosan. I'm not on them today, but I just wanted to point out that Doosan is a heart attack team to bet, so stay away.
Well, don't worry, Tokyo Brandon. Asian baseball today, it is a safe place for you to vent about your bad beats and the roller coaster that you endured. I think it looks like we got Trig back now. So, Adam, if you just want to give your last notes on these roster updates that you have before we get rolling into our featured game and some more actionable info here for the folks, the listeners of Asian baseball today, what do you got for them, Trig?
I think the internet issues are hopefully fixed. but yeah, what I was saying was Samsung. It's tough to get lineup info here, but it is out there. It just doesn't come available until like an hour or two before the game. But if Samsung were without Perella or Jawook Koo for their game against Kia, I think you would have to just kind of auto bet Kia. It's not something I'm going to give out on the show as a best bet because we don't really know. But that right there, for a team like Samsung, who relies so heavily on 1 through 5, to be missing one of those guys, I think that would be a really big deal, and you'd be getting Kia at a bargain. The other injury info, really, you got Lotte, which could be out. Lotte could be without a couple starters. And then the other injury info is all in the Doosan Hanwha series. So I'll kind of just touch on that when I do the series breakdown.
So we'll be getting that coming up here in just a few moments on Asian Baseball Today. That Adam Trigger and Tokyo Brandon. You can check them out at WagerTalk.com. Guys, let's get into our featured game for today. We got the NC Dinos taking on the KT Wiz. Both of these teams kind of limping in off of a loss. Now, you see the Dinos, even despite the fact they're sitting at the bottom of those standings, a money line favorite. You're actually getting plus money on the take back on KT. Decently high total. You're looking at 9.5. Brandon, we'll start with you. Who do you see bouncing back coming off of a loss in this one in our featured game for today?
Sure. It's not very often you see one of the worst teams in the league as a minus 130 favorite, but they are at home. Home doesn't really mean much, though, because they have a terrible home record. KT is starting a pitcher named Sang Bak, and he's one of the worst starting pitchers in the KBO. I have kind of streamlined my starting pitcher list. It was 120. I've streamlined it to guys who've only played this season. So now it's a list of 68. And I've got Sang Bak ranked 60 out of 68. He's awful. He's terrible. And KT has slipped to 9th out of 10 teams in hitting. So KT is definitely not a team you want to back right now. However, NC's starting a pitcher named Shin Min Hyuk, and this season he's been awful. How awful? His WHIP is 1.76. His ERA is 6.16. But he does have a redeeming quality, which is his career numbers. So NC's starting pitcher Shin has really good, not really good, but fairly decent career numbers compared to his counterpart Sang Bak. He allowed 3 earned runs to KT in 4 innings pitched a few weeks back, so he's not exactly reliable. NC has the worst bullpen in the KBO. They're ranked 10 out of 10, whereas KT is ranked 7 out of 10. And, they do have a slight lineup advantage. So if I were to bet this game, I'm not on it today, but if I were to bet this game, I would take NC in the first 5 innings. I think Shin Min Hyuk's career numbers will outshine his horrible start to the season, and he's a better pitcher than Sang Bak overall. NC, they hit a little bit better than KT. KT is just kind of in a tailspin right now, so I would back NC in the first 5. However, I'm not on it. You might want to take a flyer, or if you can get some kind of plus runs. I was hoping before the numbers came out that NC would be the underdog here because, in the rankings they're lower than KT, but the bookmakers are along with me and they think NC is favored. So I don't know. I'd take NC in the first 5 if I were doing this.
A lean to the first 5 looking towards NC is Tokyo Brandon. And, this has been a team that you've kind of had a pretty solid read on, Adam, is this NC side. But a lot of these opportunities have been with them as a dog. So justified seeing them as a favorite against KT. How do you see it shaking out, man?
No, not with this pitching matchup. NC, I kind of was targeting them undervalued as a dog, but as a favorite, especially with Shin Min Hyuk, who has not been great, I would actually look to go the other way here. KT, they've had their struggles. They've really had to deal with big time injuries this year, but they had a really good weekend. I cashed with them a couple times this weekend. They played great against Samsung, pulled out a couple wins late. And KT right now is a team where in my opinion, they're so undervalued that you either have to bet them or they're going to be a hard fade just based on the fact that they're so undervalued right now. Because as they start to get guys back, listen, KT actually made a couple of trades over the weekend. Not necessarily big names, but they're trying to make roster moves to address some of their short-term needs. They're going to get guys back eventually, and they will when they're fully healthy, they'll be one of the best teams in the league. They addressed the import pitcher situation last week because Cuevas he's hurt, so he's not going to be back. So they cut him and they brought in a new import guy, which we should see in a couple weeks. So in my opinion, your KT's kind of at the absolute bottom right now, where they're only going to improve from this point forward. And I think we saw them start to improve a little bit this weekend. And what I will say about KT is they seem to sort of do the little things well. So even when they're not hitting, they find ways to hit with runners in scoring position. They've gotten decent efforts from their starting pitching this year, especially their domestic starters. Unfortunately, Sangbeck Oom's probably the one exception. He's kind of been the weak link, and that's because he really probably would be in the bullpen if they had another import guy going. He'd be the guy that would certainly be a bullpen guy. So I don't want to lay a price with NC. KT has their issues, but I think, we bet numbers, not teams. And here, if I'm betting this full game, I'm going to take plus money with KT.
Yeah, I think, when it's easy to be backing a team that's at the bottom of the rankings when you're getting points, when you're getting plus money take back. Hard to talk yourself into a team that's kind of been a bottom feeder laying a price. I'm going to throw it right back your way here, Adam, as we roll on into our series previews, because this is a team that at the top of the show, Tokyo Brandon was kind of talking about a little bit earlier, and that's Doosan. And they're set to be playing against the Hanwha Eagles. They start their series tomorrow, and Eagles, they're now tied for last place. So, do you kind of see this Hanwha side digging themselves into a deeper hole, or as they face off against Doosan, who's kind of been up, who's kind of been down? How do you see this series kind of shaking out between two teams that I think have been hard to get a read on?
Well, I'll answer your first question. I don't see Hanwha digging themselves a deeper hole at all. I actually think, if anything, they start to dig out of the hole, because they're finally going to get healthy. We're going to see Ryan Carpenter at some point, possibly in this series. They've been really sort of like, it's been interesting how they've played the Carpenter situation, because I thought we might have seen him last week. So he's not listed on the injury report. I've got to think we see him start a game at some point this week. And it could be in this series. I thought it might be Tuesday or tomorrow for these upcoming games, but it looks like they're going to go with Min-Woo Kim in the first game of this series. So we'll start there. Kim has been awful this year, and to me that's very surprising, because he was great last year. He was arguably the one of the bright spots for Hanwha last year. ERA of 4, 1.13 WHIP. Very good for, if you look at the domestic starters in the league, he was very good. He was right up near the top in terms of, the Korean-born starters in this league. So to see him struggle as much as he has is very surprising. And it makes it a little bit difficult to back him in this first game. But, Guak Bean goes for Doosan. He's erratic. He has really good stuff. So at times he'll shut a team down out of nowhere. But he walks guys, and he doesn't pitch entirely deep in the games all the time, which is an issue. Brandon talked about some of the late game blunders from Doosan earlier. And I've said about this Doosan team since the beginning of the season, I really feel like they're a smoke and mirrors type team, where they've managed to get by with lesser talent for a couple of years now. And I wonder if last week we finally saw it catch up with them, where, they just started not being able to push the right buttons, and they ended up losing 4 or 5. Intake Kim was someone I highlighted in our first section last week. I thought he would have been back. He did not come back, and he is very important for Doosan. He's their leadoff hitter. He's at the top of the order. He's a guy that hits over 300. He's expected back this week per the injury reports, which are not always super reliable. So again, lineups come out, and if Kim's nowhere to be found in this series, I still think you would kind of want to fade Doosan. So I'd be looking toward Hanwha. If you can get a good price on the run line, Hanwha plus 1.5 has been a pretty good bet. And, we'll see how this series plays out. But if suddenly you see Ryan Carpenter getting a start later in the series and they maybe match him up with Stock, or, if it's a matchup where Han was a little bit of a dog, I'm going to look to try to be on Hanwha in this series. It's just going to depend on the matchups and if Hanwha's got the bullpen arms to make sense backing them.
So potential bounce back series for Hanwha as they're taking on Doosan early this week, says Adam Trigger. Check him out, $9 Monday, 2 plays loaded right this moment. Brandon, it is Asian baseball today here, not just KBO. We got some NPB action, and you wanted to feature an interleague matchup. We got the Bay Stars facing off against the Hawks, 3-game set for them as well. First pitch set for Tuesday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern time. So Tokyo, Brandon, how do you see it breaking out in this interleague set between the Bay Stars and the Hawks in your series breakdown?
Yeah, so I'm going to break the rules here. Up to now in these shows, doing series previews, my picks have been bad. I'm bad. You know it. Chanel, you know I'm bad. I'm bad. So I've been really bad previewing series. Like last series, I said Hiroshima and Yomiuri, there's going to be a lot of runs. There weren't. So I'm going to stray away from our show format here, and I'm just going to give out a free play. Instead of doing the series, I'm just going to do today's game. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going to break the rules. The SoftBank Hawks are going to the DNA Bay Stars today, and the DNA Bay Stars are one of those Yokohama Bay Stars. They're one of those kind of bottom feeder teams that they have a really good lineup, but what does them bad is their pitching. So they score a lot, but they can't hold people down. But today, they got a guy named Imanaga on the mound, and he is one of the best pitchers. He's definitely a top 10 starting pitcher in the league, where SoftBank comes in, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks are coming in as they have the pedigree as a good team, but they've been performing really horribly this year so far. I mean, they do have a good bullpen, but today, their starter, Ishikawa, he's been roughed up this season. He's got a 1.47 whip. And in the KBO, that's not bad. But as I've said in previous shows, Japanese baseball games, their game scores are generally averaging around 5.5 runs per game, whereas in the KBO, we're averaging about 8.4. So a 1.47 whip is awful in Japan, whereas Imanaga's whip so far this season is 0.93. Even if we go to 3 years weighted, Imanaga's FIP is 2.4, whereas Ishikawa's FIP is 3.7. So I have a huge, I give DNA Yokohama here a huge advantage in the starting pitching, and I actually like their lineup a little bit better than SoftBank's lineup. SoftBank has been underperforming especially in the last week. They rank 8 out of 12 teams. So I put out a 2% free play to my clients, or a 2% play to my clients. And I'll give it out here on the show. I'm going with the DNA Yokohama Bay Stars in the first 5 innings money line. And rank-wise, they're a much worse team. So I think the bookmakers will be giving too much value to SoftBank. So you're going to probably get a pretty good price on this. But I'm betting a 2% play on the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars on the money line in the first 5 innings here. Forget the series preview. I'm breaking the rules. I'm just like that.
So what? Wait. Joe's off the show, and now I'm back in, and you're just like, I'm gonna just do whatever I want. I'm just gonna give you a free play in the series breakdown, breaking the rules. But I guess when you're hitting 62% in the KBO, 59% in NPB for 2022, you can do whatever the hell you want, I suppose. That's like Tokyo Brandon with a free play there on the Bay Stars and the Hawks. It pays to be listening here on Asian Baseball today. Brandon, I'm going to throw it right back your way since you're just giving out free plays in bunches. Why not another one? Best bet time for Tokyo Brandon here on Asian Baseball today.
So yeah, does anyone remember the Jerky Boys? One of my just keep me rolling. I'm jerky like that. Get Brett where I said. Anyways,
I
go
don't think
to
anybody's
YouTube
got that one.
check Jerky Boys. They just prank call people. This is New York guys prank calling people and get Brett where I said. Anyways, so today today my best bet today is going to go back to Japan. Rakuten versus Hanshin Tigers. So we got the Rakuten Golden Eagles, who in previous shows I've said are one of the favorites to win it all in Japan. If you can find a future play on them, definitely take it. They're a complete team. They have a bona fide closer. They have a great leadoff guy, and they do have power in their lineup. Not only that, but they have Masahiro Tanaka, the ex-Yankee, in their rotation. And guess who's starting tonight for Rakuten Golden Eagles? We've got Tanaka going. How is he doing so far this season? Well, in 6 starts, he's got a 1.89 ERA with a 0.95 WHIP. I'd say pretty nice. He's got a 2.79 WHIP in his last 3 years weighted. So he's on his game. We got the Hanshin Tigers, who are kind of struggling in the hitting department. They do have a good lineup, but both of these teams are actually struggling in the last 7 days. I have them ranked number 7 and number 10 out of 12 teams in the last week. So both of them are struggling. The Hanshin Tigers are putting on Yuki Nishi. Nishi is their ace by far. He's got a 1.1 WHIP. He's got a 1.87 ERA. So both of these teams have great starting pitchers today. Both of these teams have really good bullpens, actually. I have them ranked 3 and 5 respectively out of 12 teams. So, when this line came out, it came out at 6.5 briefly, and I put this play out to my clients, but it's dropped to 6. But I still like 6, and I'll tell you why. Because my numbers, I have this at dead on at 5.5 runs for this game total. And Hanshin is one of the lowest. I track how often teams their game scores are under 6.5. Hanshin, 36% of their games go over 6.5. So that means most of them go under. And Rakuten, they're only 41% over 6.5. So that means the majority of their games go under, and I have a feeling it's attributed to their bullpens. So I am recommending people, and I put this out to my clients as well, bet the under 6 on this game, the Rakuten Golden Eagles and the Hanshin Tigers. I think it's going under. We got Masahiro Tanaka on the mound tonight.
There you go. Under 6 says Tokyo Brandon. And if your best bet was Brandon making a reference that Adam and I had no clue what he was saying, you can cash that one as
boys.
Well. Hopefully we're cashing this one a little bit later. So time for Adam Trigger's best bet here. Remind people what you have up for $9 Monday and for a best bet segment with 100% less Jerky Boys references. Adam Trigger, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, $9 Monday. I have Major League Baseball goes tonight. KBO goes in the morning. Both are up for $9. So check them out on my page, wt.buzz/at. For best bets, just missed my card, but Hanwha Eagles plus 1.5 at even money, I think is a good bet. I think you want to look to fade Doosan until they sort of get things right. And Hanwha is still a buy low team, in my opinion. They've got guys coming back. They're not the worst team in the league, and I think they'll continue to sort of outplay the market, which still treats them as if they're, the last place team or the worst team in this league. You can get a plus 1.5 at like even money. In this spot, I think that's a pretty good bet, especially since I think Min-Woo Kim ends up being better than he's been so far this season. So that's the way I would look for a best bet, plus 1.5 on Hanwha. And you've got my actual best bet. The only one I've given out to clients so far is up on my page for just $9.
There you go. Hanwha Eagles getting the 1.5 there. That just about does it for us here on Asian Baseball today. Want to remind you, check out that new page over at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/deals. You can, of course, go to these guys' pages as well, but new deals changing daily. Currently one loaded for Adam Trigger, 189, gets you all his KBO, all his MLB, including 5% plays. Again, just 189 for that one. Both these guys red hot, so get them now. Get their $9 Monday plays, and hopefully we'll be talking to you next week. If you enjoyed the show, all we ask you to do, hit that like button, hit subscribe, drop a comment below, and we will be talking to you Thursday, hopefully with some more money in our pocket. For Adam Trigger, for Tokyo Brandon, for the guys Joe and Robert behind the scenes, I'm Dan Alexander, and we'll talk to you Thursday.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.